Hello and welcome to this continuing first look at Supposes, translated by George Gascoigne. We are looking at Act 3 into Act 4 today, and so far it's been a hoot. Last session underran quite considerably, just simply because we were just going, we're quite enjoying this, we're just going to keep reading. There's nothing really to say about it because it's just really good. So we kept our comments relatively short and just kept going. It also moves quickly. It's one of those texts that wants to move at a reasonably fast lick. We may discover that this session won't, but generally speaking, pace seems to be what it wants to do. So even though the word count is comparable with other sessions, the pace we get through the text seems to be much faster anyway. So that's the magic of drama. You can't accurately time a play based on the number of words there are. No, that would be madness. Okay, so we are going to be reading Act 3 with this wonderful room of people. So today, reading Crapino, Pasipholo, and Litio today is...
I reckon I had a purpose in life, but I lost it somewhere along the way.
And reading Damon and Ferrarese is...
Hi, I'm Liza Graham, an actor and singer in London, and my purpose in life is to make you laugh.
Reading Dalio, and Psiteria today is...
Rachael, Nicole, actor in New Jersey. I didn't think I would be pondering my purpose today, but I'm gonna have to sit and think on it now.
Yes, Beyond Shakespeare, probing the depths of our existence. Reading today, Dulippo and Philogano today is... muted at present.
Oh. Hi, I'm Katrina and I'm a singer up in Scotland, and my purpose in life is to one day go through a Zoom meeting without being muted.
Yes, we all dream of that. We dream. We can dream. On Zoom, no one can hear you scream. They can see it, and they can keep telling you that you're muted, but they won't hear you. Reading Erostrato, Nevola, and Siennese today is...
I'm David in London, and our purposes are always in flux.
And I am your host, Robert Crighton, and my purpose in life is to read and produce every single piece of English drama written prior to 1642. Why did I start that? I don't know. I don't. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Anyway, we will go on with Supposes Act 3 today. We're going to dive into Scene 1, and we'll see whether we pause after Scene 1 or whether we'll just go straight on into Scene 2. Who knows? Who knows what will happen? So enter Dalio the cook, Crapino the lackey, and later on we'll have Erostrato and Dulippo, but just Dalio and Crapino enter.
By that time we come to the house. I trust that of these 20 eggs in the basket we shall find but very few whole. But it is a folly to talk to him. What the devil? Wilt thou never lay that stick out of thy hand? He fighteth with the dogs, beateth the bears, at everything in the street he findeth occasion to tarry. If he spy a slipstring by the way, such another as himself, a page, a lackey, or a dwarf, the devil of hell cannot hold him in chains, but he will be doing with him. I cannot go 2 steps, but I must look back with my yonker, go to halter sick. If you break 1 egg, I might chance break it and...
What will you break? Your nose and mine?
Ah, beast.
If I be a beast, yet I'm no horned beast.
Is it even so? Is the wind in that door? If I were unladen, I would tell you whether I be a horned beast or no.
You are always laden either with wine or with ale.
Ah, spiteful boy, shall I suffer him?
Ah, cowardly beast, durst thou strike and say never a word?
Well, my master shall know of this gear. Either he shall redress it, or he shall lose one of us.
Tell him the worst thou canst by me.
What noise? What a rule is this?
Marry, sir, he striketh me because I tell him of his swearing.
The villain lieth deadly. He reviles me because I bid him make haste.
Holla, no more of this. Dalio, do you make in a readiness those pigeons, stock doves, and also the breast of veal? And let your vessel be as clear as glass against I return, that I may tell you which I will have roasted and which boiled. Crapino, lay down the basket and follow me. Oh, that I could tell where to find Pasipholo, but look where he cometh that can tell me of him.
What have you done with Philogano, your father?
I have left him within. I would fain speak with Pasipholo. Can you tell me where he is?
He dined this day with my master, but whether he went from thence I know not. What would you with him?
I would have him go tell Damon that Philogano, my father, is come and ready to make assurance of as much as he will require. Now shall I teach Master Doctor a school point. He travaileth to none other end but to catch cornua, and he shall have them. For as old as he is, and as many subtleties as he hath learnt in the law, he can not go beyond me one ace.
O dear friend, go thy ways. Seek Pasipholo. Find him out and conclude somewhat to our contentation.
But where shall I find him?
At the feasts, if there be any, or else in the market with the poulterers or the fishmongers.
What should he do with them?
Marry, he watcheth whose caters buy the best meat. If he buy a fat capon, a good breast of veal, fresh salmon, or any such good dish, he followeth to the house, and either with some news or some stale jest he will be sure to make himself a guest.
In faith, I will seek there for him.
Then must you needs find him, and when you have done, I will make you laugh.
Where eat?
At certain sport I made today with Master Doctor.
And why not now?
No, it asketh further leisure. I pray thee, dispatch, and find out Pasipholo, that honest man.
And so Erostrato goes out, and we can assume that everybody else has gone out at this point. We are missing some stage directions that are usefully note when Erostrato and Dulippo enter, and also when others exit. But Dulippo remains on stage.
This amorous cause that hangeth in controversy between Domine Doctor and me may be compared to them that play at primero, of whom some one peradventure shall lease a great sum of money before he win one stake, and at last, half in anger, shall set up his rest, win it, and after that another, and another, till at last he draw the most part of the money to his heap, the other by little and little still diminishing his rest, till at last he come as near the brink, as erst the other was. Yet again, peradventure, fortune smiling on him, he shall, as it were by piecemeal, pull out the guts of his fellows' bags, and bring him barer than he himself was tofore, and so in play continue still, fortune favouring now this way, now that way, till at least one of them is left with as many crosses as God hath brethren. Oh, how often have I thought myself sure of the upper hand herein, but I triumphed before victory. And then how oft again have I thought the field lost. Thus have I been tossed now over, now under, even as fortune lists to whirl the wheel, neither sure to win nor certain to lose the wager. And this practice that my servant hath devised, although hitherto it hath not succeeded amiss, yet can I not count myself assured of it, for I fear still that one mischance or other will come and turn topsy-turvy. But look, where my master cometh.
And we'll just pause there as we've got various sort of joke things going on with little setups and questions that I just sort of want to unpick slightly before we go forward. So Dalio, talking about Crapino there at the very, very beginning of what we were doing, and it's the young boys constantly playing with sticks and pretending to be a great sword fighter. And you probably can't move at this time for young boys playing at bucklers and generally being a nuisance in such a way. So I feel for Dalio there. And I don't know who mentioned baskets. Do we just keep getting baskets mentioned in this play? It just seems to be a repeated thing of. Are these baskets just constantly moving around? And is this the same basket we had earlier, and that's why the eggs are broken, Liza?
The basket of eggs reads to me like a lazzo. Like a lazzo in commedia is a bit of physical business that both actors know well that you just insert. So like basket of breakable eggs, slow, clumsy servant, it kind of writes itself.
Mm. Yeah, so at least that was maybe the original element, and then in its various transmissions, it's got turned into just a straightforward bit of text. But that doesn't mean we can't put stuff back in again. Yeah, and then we have people coming on and trying to organise plot and stuff. Yeah, it's yeah. Other Dulippo getting. Oh, David, sorry.
Pasipholo is turning into an immortal character. I mean, he's a brilliant character even when he's off stage and people are talking about him.
Eric.
Wasn't he the one that wasn't invited to dinner because he had like appetite for like ravening wolves or something? Or is
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the parasite who will eat you out of house and home, and you know, he still goes to dinner anyway.
Well, but Cleander is a skinflint who sets a lousy dinner table, so that's a whole nother thing.
Mm. So yeah, any other thoughts? So obviously, when we're talking about Dulippo, it's not really Dulippo alone in this scene. He's actually Erostrato, and Erostrato, who we was talking to earlier, is actually Dulippo, because they're reversed. But for some reason, the convention in this script is the name of the character you're given is the opposite of the one you are. It's the one you're pretending to be. Whereas in most scripts, it's done the other way round. And the feigned character is just what everybody else calls you. So it is a sort of, I don't know, it might be unique in the annals of drama. I don't know that any other play really does this, or certainly does it to this degree. And there's part of me that kind of wishes we'd swapped it around. It doesn't hurt the audience, it just hurts us. Any other thoughts as we continue that? Dulippo had one of those sort of audience chats, as it were, to people. We do keep getting these sketches of things, and this sort of gambling image of, you know, you keep going in, you go in again, you go in again, and maybe it'll be different next time. Any other thoughts? No. Okay. Let's head for Act 3, Scene 3. So Damon is coming in. He espies Dulippo. I don't know if this is an original stage direction or an inferred one, and he's going to call out to him. So this is a scene.
Just to be clear, Damon is the father of the young lady that Dulippo has disguised himself in order to get close to, hoping to marry.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we were clear about that.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Polynesta, that's her name. Polynesta. Thank you, Eric.
Yes. Thanks. Yeah, so when he's talking about his master, he doesn't mean the other master who just left. He's meaning... Anyway, enter Damon.
Dulippo.
Here, sir.
Go in and bid Nevola and his fellows come hither, that I may tell them what they shall go about, and go you into my study. There upon the shelf you shall find a roll of writings which John of the Dean made to my father when he sold him the Grange farm, endorsed with both their names. Bring it hither to me.
It shall be done, sir.
And exit Dulippo.
Go. I will prepare other manner of writings for you than you are aware of. Oh, fools that trust any man but themselves nowadays. Oh, spiteful fortune, thou dost me wrong, I think, that from the depths of hell pit thou hast sent me this servant to be the subversion of me and all mine. Come hither, sirs. Hear what I shall say unto you. Go into my study where you shall find Dulippo. Step to him all at once, take him, and with a cord that I have laid on the table for the nonce, bind him hand and foot. Carry him into the dungeon under the stairs, make fast the door, and bring me the key. It hangeth upon a pin on the wall. Dispatch, do this gear as privily as you can. And thou, Nevola, come to me again with speed.
Well, I shall.
And Nevola and all the other servants who we can infer entered during that speech all now go out again.
Alas, how shall I be revenged of this extreme despite? If I punish my servant according to his devilish deserts, I shall heap further cares upon mine own head. For to such detestable offences no punishment can seem sufficient, but only death. And in such cases it is not lawful for a man to be his own carver. The laws are ordained, and officers appointed to minister justice for the redress of wrongs. And if to the potentates I complain me, I shall publish mine own reproach to the world. Yea, what shall it prevail me to use all the punishments that can be devised? The thing once done cannot be undone. My daughter is deflowered, and I utterly dishonested. How can I then wipe that blot off my brow? And on whom shall I seek revenge? Alas, alas! I myself have been the cause of all these cares, and have deserved to bear the punishment of all these mishaps. Alas, I should not have committed my dearest darling in custody to so careless a creature as this old nurse. For we see by common proof that these old women either be peevish or pitiful, either easily inclined to evil, or quickly corrupted with bribes and rewards. O wife, my good wife, that now liest cold in the grave, now may I well bewail the want of thee, and mourning may I now bemoan that I miss thee. If thou hadst lived, such was thy government of the least things that thou wouldst prudently have provided for the preservation of this pearl. A costly jewel I may well accompt her, that hath been my chief comfort in youth, and is now become the corrosive of mine age. O Polynesta! Full evil hast thou requited the clemency of thy careful father, and yet to excuse thee guiltless before God, and to condemn thee guilty before the world, I can count none other but my wretched self, the caitiff and causer of all my cares. For of all the duties that are requisite in humane life, only obedience is by the parents to be required of the child, where, on the other side, the parents are bound first to beget them, then to bring them forth, after to nourish them, to preserve them from bodily perils in the cradle, from danger of soul by godly education, to match them in consort inclined to virtue, to banish them all idle and wanton company, to allow them sufficient for their sustentation, to cut off excess, the open gate of sin, seldom or never to smile on them, unless it be to their encouragement in virtue, and finally to provide them manages in time convenient, lest, neglected of us, they learn to set either too much or too little by themselves. 5 years are past since I might have married her, when by continual excuses I've prolonged it to mine own perdition. Alas, I should have considered she's a collop of mine own flesh. What should I think to make her a princess? Alas, alas, a poor kingdom have I now caught to endow her with. It is too true that of all sorrows this is the head source and chief fountain of all furies. The goods of the world are uncertain, the gains to be rejoiced at, and the loss not greatly to be lamented. Only the children cast away cutteth the parent's throat with the knife of inward care, which knife will kill me surely. I make none other account.
And I think we just have to pause after that stand-up routine there from Damon on we as parents, we do all the stuff. The children, they only have one job, just one job, and that's to obey us. They can do whatever they like. Oh yeah, whoa, yeah, we do have these constant little sort of stand-up routines that just keep bursting into this text. I'm finding that really interesting.
So, Liza, is Damon the Pantalone character in effect? Or?
He is the Pantalone, and Cleander is the Dottore.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of these figures are very much in evidence here, aren't they? Yeah. I just love that, I'll come in. Could you go into the house and sort out there's some paperwork I need you to do. Go and grab this, will you? And then gets huddled all the servants around. Right, go and grab him, lock him up, give me the key. And those servants say nothing about that. They're just, yeah, okay. There's no back and forth with this guy. Eric.
I love how he basically goes, yeah, now that everyone else is out of the way, I'm going to have a chat with the audience. Telling you all about our problems.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah, and his problems. Oh, there's so many problems. I mean, it's just, yeah, oh, yeah. Cutteth the parents' throat with the knife of inward care. I mean, that's... oh, it's terrible to be Damon, clearly. Any other thoughts before we go on? I just was primarily to give Liza a little in-breath there. After all that text.
Well, thank you for that. It was a fun speech to read. More fun than comedy fathers usually get. I wanted to say something about Nevola's speech that's coming up in a couple of lines, because I don't know how long it will be till we pause again. Is it okay to talk about the near future, Rob, or would you rather I did that?
We're probably going to pause pretty soon after that. I think that's reasonable. We're going to get to the end of the act, and that's not that far away. So I think hold on to the thought. Hold on to the thought. Don't just scare the horses by telling them what's coming next.
No, I like horses. Let's not scare them.
Yeah. Okay, so Damon's servants now come to him again as we go into Act 3, Scene 4. So Damon surrounded by servants, primarily Nevola.
Sir, we have done as you bade us, and here is the key.
Well, go then, Nevola, and seek Master Castling, the jailer. He dwelleth by St. Anthony's gate. Desire him to lend me a pair of the fetters he useth for his prisoners, and come again quickly.
Well, sir.
Hear you. If he ask what I would do with them, say you cannot tell. And tell neither him nor any other what is become of Dulippo.
And Damon goeth out, leaving Nevola alone on stage, later to be interrupted by Pasipholo.
I warrant you, sir. Fie upon the devil. It is a thing almost impossible for a man nowadays to handle money, but the metal will stick on his fingers. I marvelled away at this fellow of mine, Dulippo, that of the wages he received, he could maintain himself so bravely apparelled, but now I perceive the cause. He had the dispersing and receipt of all my master's affairs, the keys of the granary. Dulippo here, Dulippo there, in favour with my master, in favour with his daughter. What would you more? He was magister factotum. He was as fine as the Crusado, and we silly wretches as coarse as canvas. Well, behold what it has come to in the end. He had been better to have done less.
Thou sayest true, Nevola. He hath done so much, and too much indeed.
From whence comest thou in the devil's name?
Out of the same house thou art earnest from, but not out of the same door.
We had thought thou hadst been gone long since.
When I arose from the table, I felt a rumbling in my belly, which made me run to the stable, and there I fell asleep on the straw, and have lain there ever since. And now, whither goest thou?
My master has sent me on an errand in great haste.
Whither, I pray thee?
Nay, I may not tell. Farewell.
And he exits.
As though I need any further instructions. God, what news I had heard. What news I heard even now as I lay in the stable. Oh, good Erostrato and poor Cleander that have so earnestly striven for this damsel. Happy is he that can get her. I promise you, he shall be sure mow the one that he shall be sure mow the one at a clap that catcheth her, either Adam or Eve within her belly. Oh God, how men may be deceived in a woman. Who would have believed the contrary, but had she been a virgin? Ask the neighbors, and you shall hear very good report of her. Mark her behaviors, and you would have judged her very maidenly. Seldom seen abroad, but in place of prayer, and there very devout, and no gazer at outward sights, no blazer of her beauty above in the windows, no stale at the door for the by passers. You would have thought her a holy young woman. But much good do it. Domine Doctor, he shall be sure to lack no corn in a year, whatsoever he have with her else. I beshrew me if I let the marriage anyway. But is not this the old scabbed queen that I heard disclosing all this gear to her master as I stood in the stable now? It is she. Whither goeth Psiteria?
And indeed, this Psiteria is coming in as we complete the act with scene 5.
To a gossip of mine hereby.
What, to tattle of the goodly stir that thou keptest concerning Polynesta?
No, no. But how knew you of that gear?
You told me.
When did I tell you?
Even now, when you told it to Damon, I both saw you and heard you, and though you saw not me, a good part I promise you to accuse the poor wench, kill the poor man with care, over and beside the danger you have brought Dulippo and the nurse unto, and many more. Fie, fie!
Indeed, I was to blame, but not so much as you think.
And how not so much? Did I not hear you tell?
Yes, but I will tell you how it came to pass. I have known for a great while that this Dulippo and Polynesta have lain together, and all by the means of the nurse. Yet I held my peace and never told it. Now this other day the nurse fell on scolding me, and twice or thrice called me drunken old whore, and such names that it was too bad, and I called her bawd, and told her that I knew well enough how often she had brought Dulippo to Polynesta's bed. Yet all this while I thought not that anybody had heard me, but if it fell clean contrary, for my master was on the other side of the wall, and heard all our talk, whereupon he sent for me, and forced me to confess all that you heard.
And why wouldst thou tell him? I would not for...
Well, if I had thought my master would have taken it so, he should rather have killed me.
Why, how could he take it?
Alas, it pitieth me to see the poor young woman, how she weeps, wails, and tears her hair, not esteeming her own life half so dear as she doth poor Dulippo's. And her father, he weeps on the other side, and that it would pierce an heart of stone with pity. But I must be gone.
And indeed, she exits.
Go, that the gunpowder consume thee, old trot.
And exits as well. End of the act. So yes, now we find out after the fact how it is that he found out what was going on there. So it's sort of it's like it came out of the blue, the angry old man, and now we find out how it all came together. So with this other member of the household. Hopefully it hasn't been too long since you wanted to make your point, Liza, about things coming up. That are now in the past.
That are now in the past. Yes. It's Nevola's speech about Dulippo, where he says where he poses the theory, which is in fact false, that he has been spending his master's money. In fact, no, he's actually a rich person, and he's been spending his own in order to look nice so that Polynesta will look at him. But I catch an echo there, and Rob, you're now in a room with 2 opera singers, so I catch an echo there of the libretto of Barbara of Seville, which I honestly forget who wrote it, but it is one of the great librettos of its age. I was gonna say Da Ponte. It's not Da Ponte. Da Ponte is earlier, but it's Da Ponte's level. Kat, who is it?
A Beaumarchais play.
It is a Beaumarchais play, but but Figaro's aria, I think, is different from Beaumarchais' play. But you're right, it has its roots in Beaumarchais, but you have Dulippo here, Dulippo there, he was Magister Factotum, which, it always gives me a little shiver of happiness where I think, I don't know if it's the same in the original Italian by Ariosto, but maybe that librettist read it and used it again.
Oh yeah, like that. Yeah, the reason, for those wondering why I was looking up when you were talking about that, because my Beaumarchais is up there. I can't reach it; it's too high.
Figaro qua, Figaro là.
Yes. So, other thoughts? I like that very much. Yeah, the thing, money sticking on your fingers. It's a lovely idea. It's like you give them money and it's supposed to just pass on to be spent in for your month, but it just keeps sticking. I don't know why. Servants nowadays, eh? Servants nowadays. And then yes, we get our favourite parasite coming on doing his thing, doing his thing. Everyone's getting stand-up routines here. It's like nobody seems everybody gets their chance to do. It's like the whole thing's run by not Commedia dell'arte, but it's just a group of stand-up comics, isn't it? What's your shtick? Any additional thoughts on, and also Psiteria, who's making a valiant rearguard defence of her position. Everyone's being mean to her, calling her an old hag, an old trot, and all these things. Eric,
you don't see the same how do you call it tropes that they have usually for older characters, where they kind of do the whole, "Oh, I didn't hear you properly. What did you say?" Which was earlier in, which is kind of weird in this particular what's it called, interaction. I don't know. I think they did it earlier for Cleander or something, but maybe that's very specific to the master servant dynamic as well.
Liza.
Well, actually, let's let Rachael go first, because she was Psiteria.
Yes. Tell us about your life.
No, I think you could play it either way, where Psiteria genuinely doesn't know that that her master isn't on the other side of the wall, that Damon's not on the other side of the wall, or that she does know and she does it on purpose to get the nurse fired. I think I mean, she is a gossip, and I think that this is a very fun part. It's like when you see in like those, I don't know, older movies where the women are at the hairdressers and then they're gossiping or reading the magazines or something. That I feel like it would be fun to play it either way, because she's a very large character.
Liza.
Yeah, I agree with Rachael that I'm inclined to believe her and to think that she wasn't malevolent and she didn't need, like, she is the old busybody. Her nose is in everyone's business and she knows everything that's happening. But I don't think she meant to screw this whole thing up. I think I kind of, knowing something of older Italian women as I do, I think her story of, well, the nurse insulted me, so obviously I had to insult her back.
Yeah, the escalation there, isn't it? It's well, that's and then it's just that's what happens. That's what happens.
Yes, it's a lesson to masters not to listen to their servants behind the wall.
Yeah, if you don't, if you listen to servants behind the wall, then you're going to hear things you don't want to hear. I mean, that's how it works. Eric.
I was just wondering about the line in Pasiphilo's speech where he goes, "Domine Doctor, he shall be sure to lack no corn in a dear year." I'm guessing that means that, I mean, that must be an innuendo of some sort, but I have no idea what it means.
It means that, as far as he knows, Polynesta is already pregnant. That so she's fertile, and she might even bear 2 children at once because they've been bonking that often.
Well, yes, as the father was saying earlier, they've been, and we were saying the other day, they're this is a full blown affair. It's not there's no hanging around and maybe we will meet and one day touch vaguely from it. It's full on. Yeah, and that's where the juiciest gossip comes in, of course. There's no point gossiping about a non-event, and everybody's complicit in it in that sense. Any other thoughts? No, you just want to read on. We'll run out of material for the session. We've moved on so fast again.
And the pace of this thing doesn't let up. We're gonna have, this text wants to be spoken at an energetic pace.
Yeah, but
I feel anyway.
Yeah, but if I'd known it was good, I would have done it in 2 sessions, not 3, because it's just got so fast.
We could do it all over again.
We could just keep doing
Yeah,
it well.
we could do it. We could do it all over again, twice the speed we previously did it.
Yes. Okay.
We could just finish it and do something else.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
we could do something else. Maybe let's do that. Okay, Act 4, Scene 1. Let's dive into Act 4. We're not due to finish Act 4, but God only knows we might come out the other side. So Act 4, Scene 1. Enter the famed Erostrato.
What shall I do? Alas, what remedy shall I find for my rueful estate? What escape or what excuse may I now devise to shift over our subtle supposes? For though to this day I have usurped the name of my master, and that without check or control of any man, now shall I be openly deciphered, and that in the sight of every man. Now shall it openly be known whether I be Erostrato the gentleman or Dulippo the servant. We have hitherto played our parts in abusing others. But now cometh the man that will not be abused, the right Philogano, the right father of the right Erostrato, going to seek Pasipholo, and hearing that he was at the watergate. Behold, I espied my fellow Litio, and by my old master Philogano, setting forth his first step on land. I to fugen away hither as fast as I could, to bring word to the right Erostrato of his right father Philogano, that to so sudden a mishap some subtle shift might be upon the sudden devised. But what can be imagined to serve the turn, although we had a month's respite to beat our brains out about it, since we are commonly known at the least supposed in this town, he for Dulippo, a slave and servant, to Damon, and I for Erostrato, a gentleman and a student. But behold, run Crapino to yonder old woman before she get within the doors, and desire her to call out Dulippo. But hear you, if she ask who would speak with him, say thyself and none other.
And so Crapino runs over to Psiteria.
Honest woman, you gossip, thou rotten whore, hearest thou not, old witch?
A rope stretch your young bones. Either you must live to be as old as I, or be hanged while you are young.
I pray thee, look if Dulippo be within.
Yes, that he is, I warrant him.
Desire him then to come hither and speak a word with me. He shall not tarry.
Content yourself, he is otherwise occupied.
Yet tell him so, gentle girl.
I tell you he is busy.
But why is it such a matter to tell him so, thou crooked crone?
A rope stretch you marry.
A pox eat you marry.
Thou wilt be hanged, I warrant thee, if thou live to it.
And thou wilt be burnt, I warrant thee, if the canker consume thee not.
If I come near you, hemp string, I will teach you to sing sol fa.
Come on, and if I get a stone, I will scare crows with you.
Go with the mischief. I think thou be some devil that would tempt me.
Crapino, hear you. Come away, let her go with a vengeance. Why come you not? Alas, look where my master Philogano cometh. What shall I do? Where shall I hide? He shall not see me in these clothes, nor before I have spoken with the right Erostrato.
And we'll pause there because, oh my God, suddenly drama, tension. The real father has turned up. Oh no. And then suddenly you need to talk to someone, and Crapino just gets caught in this weird escalation of insults. Is this a deaf thing that's being played on here? You know, honest woman, yon gossip, thou rotten whore. And you know, it seems to be that's how that's working. And then she's giving as good as she gets. I will teach you to sing sol fa. I mean, is that sort of grabbing him by the lower regions, twisting, and going, ah. It's just it's from what we had just before. So this scene seems to follow effectively. This is almost contiguous. Actually, that act break is artificial in terms of flow of action on stage. But yeah, you feel the action, the intensity, the drama. It's all there. Any thoughts? No. Okay, let's move on. I've said them all. I've said all of it. There is nothing more to say about that scene. Act 4, Scene 3. So we've got we've got the entrance of Philogano coming out, and we've got Ferrarese, the innkeeper, and Litio, the servant, coming in.
Honest man, is it even so? Be you sure that there is no love to be compared like the love of the parents towards their children. Is not long since I thought that a very weighty matter should not have made me come out of Sicilia, and yet now I have taken this tedious toil and travail upon me, only to see my sonnet, and to have him home with me.
By my faith, sir, it hath been a great travail indeed, and too much for one of your age.
Yea, to be sure. I came in company with certain gentlemen of my country, who had affairs to dispatch as far as to Ancona, from thence by water to Ravenna, and from Ravenna hither continuously against the tide.
Yea, and I think you had but homely lodging by the way.
The worst that ever man had. But that was nothing to the stir that the searchers kept with me when I came aboard the ship. Jesus, how often they untrust my mal, and ransack a little capkis that I had, and tossed and turned all that was in it, searched my bosom, yea, my breeches, that I assure you I thought that they would have flayed me to search between the fell and the flesh for fardings.
Sure, I've heard no less, and that the merchants bob them sometimes, but they play the knave still.
Yea, be you well assured, such an office is the inheritance of a knave, and an honest man will not meddle with it.
Well, this passage shall seem pleasant unto you, when you shall find your child in health and well. But I pray you, sir, why did you not rather send for him into Sicilia than to come yourself, especially since you had none other business? Peradventure you would rather endanger yourself by this noisome journey than hazard to draw him from his study.
Nay, that was not the matter, for I had rather have him give over his study altogether and come home.
Why? If you minded not to make him learned, to what end did you send him hither at the first?
I will tell you. When he was at home, he did as most young men do. He played many mad pranks, and did many things that liked me not very well. And I, thinking that by that time he had seen the world, he would learn to know himself better, exhorted him to study, and put in his election what place he would go. At the last he came hither, and I think he was scarce here so soon as I felt the want of him. In such short as from that day to this I have passed few nights without tears. I have written to him very often that he should come home, but continuously he refused still, beseeching me to continue his study, wherein he doubted not, as he said, but to profit greatly.
Indeed, he's very much commended of all men, and specially of the best reputed students.
I am glad he hath not lost his time, but I care not greatly for so much knowledge. I would not be without the sight of him again so long as for all the learning in the world. I am old now, and if God should call me in this absence, I promise you I think it would drive me to desperation.
It is commendable in a man to love his children, but to be so tender over them is more womanlike.
Well, I confess, it is my fault. And yet I will tell you another cause of my coming hither for more weighty than this. Divers of my country have been here since he came hither, by whom I have sent unto him, and some of them have been thrice, some 4 or 5 times at his house, and yet could never speak with him. I fear he applies his study so that he will not lease the minute of an hour from his book. What, alas, he might yet talk with his countrymen for a while. He is a young man, tenderly brought up, but if he fare thus continually night and day at his book, he may be enough to drive him into a frenzy.
Indeed, enough were as good as a feast. Lo, sir, here is your son Erostrato's house. I will knock.
Yea, I pray you knock.
He knocks.
They hear not.
Knock again.
More knocking.
I think they be on sleep.
If this gate were your grandfather's soul, you could not knock more softly. Let me come. Ho, ho, is there anybody within?
And we'll just briefly pause there. He missed the moment his son left. He got really sad. He misses him. Kept going, come home, come home. No, I'm not coming home. And then suddenly, oh yeah, there's more. There's other things. It's like, yeah, he wasn't asked about that per se. It was just more. No, there's more reasons why I'm sad. There's more reasons. And he had a terrible journey. I mean, God, it was replacement bus services all the way. It was awful. Yeah, but nobody's answering the knock on the door. Nobody's answering that knock. Any thoughts? Eric?
I just like the expression, if this gate were your grandfather's soul. That was a good line.
Yeah, I really love Philogano. In this play, you consistently get characters who appear and just are drawn with a few bold strokes. They're you know everything about them, and that's been true. Just in the half we've read, we've had God damn it, what's his name? The father... Damon, not Dalio. Damon, yes. And Psiteria, and now Philogano. Or Philogano, whichever. And they come in, they tell you everything about themselves that you need to know. And then you know it.
Yeah, they overshare enormously, isn't it? It's great. It's just like there's something there, and but actually the Eric flagging up that line, that's really important, because clearly, I pray you knock. They're going very softly knocking on the door, and he's just going, no, that's not how you knock on a door, mate. This is how you knock on a door. Bam, bam, bam. Shop. Yeah, so that's a very good. That's an excellent cue. Yes, that is a very good line as well. I hadn't quite clocked it properly, so I'm glad you flagged that up. That now gets a proper note next to it. Anything else? No. Okay, so they've knocked on the door. And we're going to get some sort of a response, and it's going to be who we met earlier, Dalio, the cook.
What devil of hell is there? I think he will break the gates in pieces.
Aye, sir, we thought you'd been on sleep within, therefore we thought best to wake you. What doth Erostrato?
He is not within.
Open the door, good fellow, I pray thee.
If you think to lodge here, you are deceived, I tell you, for here are guests enow, already.
A good fellow. And how much for thy master honesty, by Our Lady, and what guests, I pray thee?
Here is Philogano, my master's father, lately come out of Sicilia.
Thou speakest truer than thou art aware of. He will be, by that time thou hast opened the door. Open, I pray thee, heartily.
It is a small matter for me to open the door, but here is no lodging for you. I tell you plain, the house is full.
Of whom?
I told you, here is Philogano, my master's father, come from Cathania.
And when came he?
He came 3 hours since, or more. He alighted at the Angel, and left his horses there. Afterward my master brought him hither.
Good fellow, I think thou hast good sport to mock me.
Nay, I think you have good sport to make me tarry here, as though I have nothing else to do. I am matched with an unruly mate in the kitchen. I will go look to him another while.
I think he be drunken.
Sure he seems so. See ye not how red he is about the gill?
Abide, fellow, what Philogano is it whom thou talkest of?
An honest gentleman, father to Erostrato, my master.
And where is he?
Here within.
May we see him?
I think you may, if you be not blind.
Go tell him here is the one who would speak with him.
Marry, that I will willingly do.
I cannot tell what I should say to this gear, Litio. What thinkst thou of it?
I cannot tell you what I should say, sir. The world is large and long, and there may be more Philoganos and more Erostratos than one. Yeah, more Ferraras, more Sicilias, and more Cathanaeas. Peradventure, this is not that Ferrara which you sent your son unto.
Peradventure, thou art a fool, and he was another that answered us even now. But be you sure, honest man, that you mistake not the house?
Nay then, God help, think you I know not Erostrato's house? Yes, and himself also. I saw him here no longer since than yesterday. But here comes one that will tell us tidings of him. I like his countenance better than the other that answered at the window erewhile.
And we will just pause at that moment. So yes, we have the person knocking on the door. Apparently, you're already in. The amount of confusion and pausing and looking and what. Mm-hmm. I love Dalio's line. As though I had nothing else to do. I mean, that's just so modern. It's just been lifted from today. We've all said that. Yeah. Of course, I could do whatever you like because I'm not busy at all. I haven't got a house full of people wanting food, and my sous chef is useless, and it's just. Yeah, lots of potential there to really pick that one up. Yes, he seems so. You see not how red he is about the gills. It's just these nice little lines. Yeah, really enjoying that. Any other thoughts in the room, Eric?
I
And
just
then
love
Rachael.
Litio's logic of going sort of, you were asleep, therefore we woke you up. And also sort of later on, sort of, well, there might be other Philoganos, other Sicilias, other, whatever. It's not just, are you sure this is the place?
Yeah, the world's a big place. Could be loads. Rachael.
No, I was just gonna say it sounds like they're just all drunk after the inn's closed for the night. Yeah, just getting drunk in the back. Got nothing left to do but get more drunk and sleep off being drunk. I don't know. It's just very funny. I like the line where he's like, yeah, you'll see him if you're not blind.
Okay, we're going to move on to we've got two more scenes we're going to do this session. We'll let them run into each other. Dalio has drawn his head in at the window while the Siennese cometh out. So the confusion continues outside, and now Siennese, who is pretending to be Philogano, comes out to visit to see what Philogano wants.
Would you speak with me, sir?
Yea, sir, I would fain know whence you are.
Sir, I am a Sicilian at your commandment.
What part of Sicilia?
Of Catania.
What shall I call your name?
My name is Philogano.
What trade do you occupy?
Merchandise.
What merchandise brought you hither?
None, I came only to see a son that I have here, whom I saw not these 2 years.
What do they call your son?
Erostrato.
Is Erostrato your son?
Yea, verily.
And you are Philogano?
The same.
And a merchant of Cathanea?
What need I tell you so often? I will not tell you a lie.
Yes, you have told me a false lie, and thou art a villain, and no better.
Sir, you offer me great wrong with these injurious words.
Nay, I will do more than I have yet proffered to do, for I will prove thee a liar and a knave to take upon thee that thou art not.
Sir, I am Philogano of Catania, out of all doubt. If I were not, I would suppose. Be loath to tell you so.
Oh, see the boldness of this brute beast. What a brazen face he setteth on it.
Well, you may believe it if you list. What wonder you?
I wonder at thy impudency, for thou, nor nature that framed thee, can ever counterfeit thee to be me, ribald villain and lying wretch that thou art. What on earth was that?
Shall I suffer a knave to abuse my master's father thus? Hence, villain, hence, or I will sheath this good falchion in your paunch. If my master Erostrato find you prating here on this fashion to his father, I would not be in your coat for mo coney skins than I got these 12 months. Come you in again, sir, and let this cur bark here till he burst.
Dalio pulleth the Siennese in at the doors. Act 4, Scene 6. Philogano, Litio, and Ferrarese are still outside.
Litio, how likest thou this gear?
Sir, I like it as evil as may be, but have you not often heard tell of the falsehood of Ferrara? And now may you see it falleth out accordingly.
Friend, you do not well to slander the city. These men are no Ferrarese. You may know by their tongue.
Well, there is never a barrel better herring between you both, but indeed your officers are most to blame that suffer such faults to escape unpunished.
What know the officers of this? Think you they know of every fault?
Nay, I think they will know as little as may be, especially when they have no gains by it. But they ought to have their ears as open to hear of such offences as the inn gates to be to receive guests.
Hold thy peace, fool.
By the mass, I am afeard that we shall be proved fools both too.
Well, what shall we do?
I would think best we should go seek Erostrato himself.
I will wait upon you willingly, and either at the schools or at the convocations we shall find him.
By Our Lady, I am weary. I will run no longer about to seek him. I am sure hither he will come at the last.
Sure, my mind gives me that we as true shall find a new Erostrato ere it be long, I suppose.
Ah, look where he is. Whither runs he? Stay you a while. I will go tell him that you are here. Erostrato! Erostrato! Ho, Erostrato, I would speak with you.
And there we pause. Yes. It's almost like Philogano's doing a on the street survey there, and you work in and you do this and this thing. I almost feel that list needs to just keep going round, and it's like it just keeps repeating itself even more than it just goes. Your name is Philogano, Philogano, and your son is and Otranto, but and you're Philogano. I just feel that there's actually more to be got out of that than the script actually gives us. Because I just think that could just go round and round and round again and again to a point of beautiful absurdity. I like that very much. And yes, now we have all these potential problems occurring as we go forward. But yes, so thoughts from the room. About what we've just had. Eric?
Just to congratulate David on the lovely accent.
Well,
Yes,
he's obviously, he's the foreigner in the room, isn't he? So kind of he needed something.
I love that Siena is Wales.
Yeah.
And also it gave my line, "These are no citizens here, you may know by their tongues." It gave that an extra lift. So that's...
Yes, Rachael.
I wonder if well, actually he seems pretty with it, but the Siennese, I don't know, if he was drunk too. Are they all just drunk in this inn? Who knows? Maybe. No. up to the production, but just maybe a little more something or less to put in or take out.
Eric?
Well, because they'd convinced him that, how do you call it? It was either, tell people that he's Philogano or die, basically, if I remember correctly. So it was this whole thing that they'd set up, this elaborate plot that they set up to sort of convince the Siennese and his servants so that, they're going to die, basically, if they don't pretend to be Sicilian.
Yes.
Or die, as it's Welsh.
Yes. Yes. It's we have a slightly over-engineered element to elements of the plot, but that's fine because we don't really care. We're just enjoying the motions. Katrina, muted at present.
I was quite enjoying, after what Liza said about the Figaro qua, Figaro là, but suddenly when we got to, wait, you're Philogano. Yes, I'm Philogano. It really just reminded me of another bit in the Figaro plays, or the Mozart's Figaro anyway. The Tuo Padre, Tuo Madre. What is going on? The quintet at the end of Act 2, Italy. It's just, now that you said that, Liza, I'm just going to be singing Figaro in my head all night. Thank you.
Well, Da Ponte read his Italian classics for a given definition of classic, and Ariosto is definitely on the reading list for them. There's also some rather delightful Italian pornography from about the 1500s, written by a guy named Aretino. He wrote a book about nuns, a book about wives, and a book about sex workers, and you find some surprising intertexts with Da Ponte in those. Anyways, moving right along.
Please don't.
Yes, continue.
There's more.
Well, it's entirely off the subject, but the intertexts are in Così fan tutte and Don Giovanni.
Right, so I'm going to give you a choice now. I'm going to give you this room a choice. You can complete the act, and I will rustle up some additional material for tomorrow to look at, or we can go into final thoughts now. I will give you all an opportunity to vote. Who wants to just finish the act? Hands up. Then we will finish the act. Let's do that because we're in the middle of complications, and it might make a lot more sense if we complete the unit of action. So we left it. I'm hoping the doublings all works. I think we're all basically playing the same people throughout, so it should be fine. So they've noticed that the person pretending to be Erostrato is running about on the stage, and Erostrato has noticed that they've noticed that he is running about on the stage. Erostrato aside.
No, we can I bide me no longer? Alas, what shall I do? What shall I do? I will set a good face on to bear out the matter.
Oh, Erostrato, Philogano, your father, is come out of Sicilia.
Tell me that I know not. I have been with him and seen him already.
Is it possible? And it seemeth by him that you know not of his coming.
Why, have you spoken with him? When saw you him, I pray you?
Look you where he stands. Why go you not to him? Look you, Philogano, behold your dear son, Erostrato.
Erostrato? This is not Erostrato. This seemeth rather to be Dulippo, and it is Dulippo indeed.
Why doubt you of that?
What saith this honest man?
Marry, sir, indeed you are so honourably clad, it is no marvel if you look big.
To whom speaketh he?
What, God help? Do you not know me?
As far as I remember, sir, I never saw you before.
Hark, Litio, here is good gear. This honest man will not know me.
Gentlemen, you take your marks amiss.
Did I not tell you of the falsehood of Ferrara, master? Dulippo hath learned to play the knave indifferently well since he came hither.
Peace, I say.
Friend, my name is not Dulippo. Ask you thorough out this town of great and small, they know me. Ask this honest man that is with you, if you will not believe me.
Indeed, I never knew him otherwise called than Erostrato, and so they call him as many as know him.
Master, now you may see the falsehood of these fellows. This honest man, your host, is of counsel with him. and would face us down that it is Erostrato. Beware of these maids.
Friend, thou doest me wrong to suspect me. Sure, I never heard him otherwise called than Erostrato.
What name could you hear me call by but my right name? But I am wise enough to stand prating here with this old man. I think he be mad.
Ah, runagate, a villain traitor, dost thou use my master thus? What hast thou done with my son, villain?
And Dalio and other servants come out of the house, and they start threatening Philogano with stones, apparently.
Does this dog bark here still? And you will suffer him, master, thus to revile you.
Come in. What wilt thou do with this pestle?
I will wrap the old cackabed on the coster.
Away with it, and you, sir, I'll lay down these stones. Come in at every door, every one of you. Bear with him for his age. I pass not of his evil words.
And Erostrato, or the pretend Erostrato, takes all the servants back inside the house, leaving the confused people standing outside.
Alas, who shall relieve my miserable estate? To whom shall I complain, since he whom I brought up of a child, yea, and cherished him as if he had been mine own, doth now utterly deny to know me? And you, whom I took for an honest man, and he that should have brought me to the sight of my son, are compact with this false wretch, and would face me down that he is another Erostrato. Alas, you might have some compassion of mine age, to the misery I am now in, and that I am a stranger desolate of all comfort in this country, or at least you should have feared the vengeance of God, the supreme judge, which knoweth the secrets of all hearts, in bearing this false witness to him, whom heaven and earth do know to be a Dulippo and not Erostrato.
If there be many such witnesses in this country, men may go about to prove what they will in controversies here.
Well, sir, you may judge of me as it pleaseth you, and how the matter cometh to pass I know not. But truly, ever since he came first hither, I have known him by the name of Erostrato, the son of Philogano a Catanese. Now, whether he be so indeed, or whether he be Dulippo, as you allege, let that be proved by them that knew him before he came hither. But I protest before God, that which I have said is neither a matter compact with him nor any other, but even as I have heard him called and reputed of all men.
Out and alas, he whom I sent hither with my son to be his servant, and to give attendance on him, hath either cut his throat, or by some evil means made him away, and hath not only taken his garments, his books, his money, and that which he brought out of Sicilia with him, but usurpeth his name also, and turneth to his own commodity the bills of exchange that I have always allowed for my son's expenses. Oh, miserable Philogano! Oh, unhappy old man! Oh, eternal God! Is there no judge, no officer, no higher powers, whom I may complain unto for the redress of these wrongs?
Yes, sir, we have potestates, we have judges, and above all we have a most just prince. Doubt you not, but you shall have justice if your cause be just.
Bring me then to the judges, to the potestates, or to whom you think best, for I will disclose a pack of the greatest knavery, a fardel of the foulest falsehoods that ever was heard of.
Sir, he that will go to the law must be sure of 4 things. First, a right and a just cause. Then, a righteous advocate to plead. Next, favor, coram judice, and above all, a good purse to procure it.
I have not heard that the law hath any respect to favour. What you mean by it I cannot tell.
Have you no regard to his words, but he is a fool.
I pray you, sir, let him tell me, what is favour?
Favor, quote I, to have a friend near about the judge who may so solicit thy cause as, if it be right, a speedy sentence may ensue without any delays. If it be not good, then to prolong it till at the last thine adversary, being weary, shall be glad to compound with thee.
Of thus much, although I never heard thus much in this country before, doubt you not, Philogano, I will bring you to an advocate that shall speed you accordingly.
Then shall I give myself, as it were, a prey to the lawyers, whose insatiable jaws I am not able to feed, although I had here all the goods and lands which I possess in mine own. country, and much less being a stranger in this misery. I know their cartels of old. At the first time I come, they will so extol my cause, as though it were already won. But within a 7 night or 10 days, if I do not continually feed them, as the crow doth her bracts 20 times in an hour, they will begin to wax cold, and to find cavils in my cause, saying that at the first I did not well instruct them, till at the last they will not only draw the stuffing out of my purse, but the marrow out of my bones.
Yea, sir, but this man that I tell you of is half a saint.
And the other half a devil, I hold a penny.
Well said, Litio. Indeed, I have but small confidence in their smooth looks.
Well, sir, I think this whom I mean is no such manner of man, but if he were, there is such hatred and evil will between him and this gentleman, whether he be Erostrato or Dulippo, whatsoever he be, that I warrant you he will do whatsoever he can for you, were it but to spite him.
Why, what hatred is betwixt them?
Ah, they're both in love, and suitors to one gentlewoman, the daughter of a wealthy man in this city.
Why, is the villain become of such estimation that he dare presume to be a suitor to any gentlewoman of a good family?
Yea, sir, out of all doubt.
How call ye this adversary?
Cleander, one of the excellentest doctors in our city.
For God's love, let us go to him.
Go we then.
And they go. Yeah, you don't want to start going into court. Oh no, those lawyers, they'll have you for everything you've got. Don't feed the lawyers, especially after midnight. No, bad things happen. Bad things happen then. Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Erostrato, or a fake Erostrato, brazening it out there, just going, no, I don't know what you're talking about. This is, yeah, oh. You know, mad old man. Don't throw stones at him. He's just mad. It gets very violent quickly, doesn't it? Just throw stones at the random strangers.
Yeah, and since Erostrato knows perfectly well who Philogano is, he's absolutely right to stop them. Yeah. To stop the cook from beating out his master's father's brains with a pestle.
Yeah.
So, also, yeah. I love old cacabed as an insult.
Mm. Yeah. And then this interesting thorny question of how do you prove who you are? How do you do it, Eric?
Well, last time when we had to prove who someone was, they just pulled off like part of his hose and showed the fact that he had 6 toes as opposed to 5. But yeah, that was not what I was going to say. I was going to mention
no,
that,
but it's true. That's a very good way of identifying yourself. Any distinguishing features, very important. Yeah.
Yeah, just pull off your trousers. And your socks.
Cut his trousers. He didn't want to take them
seam.
off. So they cut the seam at the bottom of his hose and hose, not trousers, of course. And found the extra toe.
Yeah. No, I just love how Litio is this complete, idiot who is not entirely sure, who kind of starts off being very sort of xenophobic, like sort of mildly xenophobic, and then gets worse and worse and worse. Like, I hate this place, almost the kind of thing. It's like, yeah, TripAdvisor lied, or almost kind of, it's that extent of like.
It does seem like deliberate shtick. I don't think he's stupid. It does seem that he's doing deliberate absurdities, but maybe I'm wrong on that point. What's the feeling in the room about him? He does seem to get the best lines. It has to be said. He's doing the wisecracks or the really nicely structured gags. He's doing that very nicely. I'm
just wondering if he doubles with Pasipholo, because like Pasipholo has disappeared for so long.
Yeah, he was the big noise, wasn't he? And then he sort of went out. There's so many really beautifully drawn characters.
He'll be eating somewhere.
Yeah, he's always eating somewhere. But yeah, again with this image of people, the insatiable jaws of lawyers. So we have these similar, this is a similarly rapacious society that's constantly eating itself. in different ways, of people always being preyed upon and being manipulated, which in a sense everybody is. Everybody's manipulating everybody else on some level. There's all these plots. Nobody just sits down and just talks, because that'd be silly if you sat down and just talk to each other. Okay, we're moving in that general direction. Any additional thoughts about those last two scenes of the act we weren't planning on doing? Before I go round for final thoughts. Liza.
Well, I do like Philogano's words about the lawyers, that, yes, they welcome you into their office as though your case were already won, but then you have to keep paying them or they don't move your case forward, and then they take you for everything you have. Evil, evil lawyers. Hi, Mom. Anyway.
Yes, it's very Jarndyce and Jarndyce sort of that thing. There'll be nothing left at the end of the day. Rachael.
Maybe he will get charged a comically high amount by Cleander, just because Cleander is so skinflinty. Is that the word? Cheap.
Yeah, excellentest doctors in our city. For God's love, let us go to him. Don't go to him. No. Eric.
Well, also the contrast between Damon and sort of Philogano, just like they're very distinctly drawn as different characters. It's kind of, different types of fathers.
Yeah, I mean, Philogano is on the whole being quite reasonable. He's in a, he very much cares. He cares so much. He regretted sending his son away, and going, and sending him away for to study and to experience, grow up a bit. He was a bit boisterous. Give him a life. He tried it. He wasn't that keen on being left alone though. It's a bit sad. David.
There are very few characters you actually feel sympathy for in this play, but Philogano is definitely one of them.
Yeah, and it's, the question is you can't make the audience feel too sympathy for her, otherwise you start feeling a bit mean. But it's just, he's he's the kind of person you would invite round for dinner, whereas quite a lot of these people I wouldn't. Wouldn't even ask them to serve the dinner, let alone definitely do a takeaway. Okay, so I'll go around the room for final thoughts. This player's moved incredibly quickly, and we're going to have to find some additional material to look at next time. We can't quite. I almost thought about doing a sprint to the finish, but I don't think we'd quite fit it in. So final thoughts from the room. Eric, do you have anything to say? The play overall. You've been here for both sessions.
It's just so fast, and the smaller characters are just like Crapino, for example. He's like, what? Why would you even have that character as a servant? Why? Yeah, anyway.
David, you can't get the staff. Any final thoughts?
Why is this play not already part of the repertoire? I mean, not only is it historically significant, but it's bloody funny.
It's weird. It's really weird. I have more to say on that, but do you have any more, David? Sorry, I interrupted.
I can't wait to do Act 5. I'll be here tomorrow as reserve again. So
excellent. I have more to say about that actually. At the end of the session, but remind me the strangeness of its relative obscurity today. Katrina, you've only been here for this session. I'm sure you have no idea what's been going on for certainly certain portions of it. I think Act 4 was quite clear, but some of the stuff earlier might have been a bit bamboozling. How have you found it?
Bamboozling, but actually very all of the characters, as you say, are so beautifully written, and everybody has their own specific character. I was wondering how it would have been perceived at the time, in a contemporary setting. with the characters of Philogano contrasted to Damon, because we have such sympathy now, but back then would it not have been more fatherly to shunt your son off to join the clergy or military or something? Would they have found him more of a joke than we do now, or would they still think, oh, poor soul, poor old man?
I know it's a really good question because he has a slight excess of sadness. It might be, it's sort of intimated by the way the other interlocutor's talking to him when he does that initial thing, that maybe he's going a bit far. So there might be an awful lot of tears, and there might be an awful lot of handkerchiefs and blowing of, that kind of business to go with it. So it might be a much more excessive character than we've initially taken on.
Good thought.
Rachael, final thoughts?
No, it's so, I don't know, it's just such a pleasant play, and like David said, there is a lot of, I think it has a lot of influence on some other things. There's more thoughts in here, but they've just all suddenly vanished. I like it.
This is the problem with plays we like. It's just, this bit was good. I like this bit. That's the level of our discourse. Liza, any final thoughts?
Well, kudos to anyone who's jumped in on day 2, because on day 1 we remarked that this play does so much setup so quickly. And it does the setup really well, so the audience is completely, or at least, I don't know, coming to this play not having seen it before, I was pretty familiar with who everyone was just from that setup in the story, saying, oh, yeah, and you don't, as in, differently from in some other plays, in the first part, you don't see the servant and the master change places. You're just plunked into a scenario where they have changed places, and the master turned servant has already wooed the girl, and in fact they're already bonking like bunnies, and I hope poor little Polynesta will be okay, and that Dulippo will do the honest thing and marry her. And hey, do you guys remember that Cleander lost a baby at the siege of Otranto? I wonder where that baby could be now. Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of where I am with it.
Yeah, because that element is never resolved in a plays. We've had those where it's just been dropped. I would just to close, unless people have additional thoughts off other people's thoughts. Eric.
No, I was just gonna mention that, like, I like how Damon sort of goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill him, but I can't kill him because my daughter loves him." But also, it's that kind of element of that we had in the play earlier today, and yesterday, of the king going, "I'm gonna kill Ethelwald," and then the devil turns up going, "Yeah, he's gonna kill Ethelwald, but he doesn't kill."
Yeah, and you should remember that the real Erostrato is currently locked away. just remind everyone. It's just, we know he's had his throat slit. We don't know what's happened to him in this particular situation.
Plot-wise, we know not only is he locked away, but the guy who locked him away forbade anyone to tell anyone where he is. So there's a reason. Plot-wise, there has to be a reason why Erostrato can't just appear and solve the problem. The problem has to continue and amplify for a while for it to be good theater.
Yeah.
It's funnier.
Exactly. And other structural reasons perhaps that exist to keep him off stage for a bit. It's interesting because, I say, I had a sort of this is a play I'd known about for ages. I've got a nice little edition of some early comedies from the 1930s, and I just had in my mind that this was done a lot more, and I think it has actually had some pickup in the better part of 100 years ago, in sort of the 50s as well, and things. but I do know of some modern productions, but it just doesn't seem to be on people's lips as a really funny play that you should do. It's sort of still classed a bit as a curio, and actually, as we've systematically gone through plays and some of the earlier comedies that we've got, that we've worked on, Gamma Gurton's Needle, Ralph Roysted Oyster, and some of the others that are also in this particular volume, is that they are just actually really fresh and really fun and really good entertainments, and that just means they should be in the repertoire in some way, shape, or form. And I just can't find a really good structural reason why they're not, apart from a perception of age. This is supposedly, the first English prose comedy. So that's how it's advertised in the back of this particular book that I have in front of me. But obviously, it's probably just the only one that survives, and it's not sort of fully English anyway, because it's a translation of things and stuff. And one adds all these labels to things to make them more sellable. So yeah, it's strange in that sense of having in my mind the idea that this actually was more about than it is. There are versions you can find. There is at least one production that exists in a reasonably watchable form from a youth production from a few years ago, and there will be more about that on the podcast in the future. I may mention it in more detail tomorrow in the next video, but there is material online that you can find on this play, just not as much as there should be. Why? Why, internet? What? Try harder. Try harder. So, all that remains, thank all the wonderful readers in the room for all their wonderful stuff. And all that remains is to say, fare thee well, everyone. Farewell. Bye. Bye. Bye.